The second we booted up this game, something felt wrong. Not the usual wrong, not broken menus or cheesy filters. No, this was heavier, the kind of wrong that makes your stomach drop before anything even happens. The title screen was nothing but fog. Thick, rolling fog that looked too real, like it was pushing against the screen. No music, no menu clicks. Just silence, and then after a few seconds, I realized there was a sound, a low, steady thump, a heartbeat. Not in the background music, but like it was coming from inside the fog itself, and right there in the middle, glowing faintly in blood, red letters, was a name. His name, the one we were supposed to save. We stared at it for way too long. Nobody wanted to touch the controller. The longer we looked, the more it felt like the fog wasn't just moving. It was alive, like it was watching us, waiting. My palms were sweating just hovering over the button, and when I finally pressed start, no loading screen. Just a hard cut. Suddenly, we were standing on an old dirt road. It stretched out into nothing, swallowed by the mist. And then we heard it, the sound of shovels, metal cutting into soil, slow, heavy, every strike echoing like it was right behind us. The camera drifted down, and there they were, rows of graves, freshly dug, the dirt still soft and black. Each grave had a wooden nameplate jammed into the ground. Most of them were blank, except one. One name stood out. His name, the person we thought we were going to rescue. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a tutorial. This wasn't a cutscene. This was the game warning us. He wasn't going to be saved. He was already marked. We inched forward, and that's when I heard it, a voice, faint, crooked, help me. It wasn't a sound effect. It wasn't pre-recorded. It felt too raw, too real. Out of the corner of the screen, we caught it. A figure. Tall, twitching, standing among the graves, just far enough away that we couldn't make out a face, but close enough that I felt it staring. Every step closer made the ground crunch too loud, like we were walking on bones. My heart was racing so hard I could hear it in my ears. And then the earth cracked open beneath us. A scream ripped through the air, but cut off halfway, like someone was choking on the last breath of their life. The screen went black. We sat there in silence. Not one of us moved, and that's when it hit me. We thought we were starting a mission to save him, but instead it already felt like we'd started digging his grave. The screen stayed black for a few seconds longer than it should have. Long enough that we thought the game might have crashed, but then a faint glow appeared, a lantern. Flickering in the darkness, we weren't on the dirt road anymore. The game had dropped us into what looked like a burial chamber underground. Stone walls dripping with water, the floor covered in dust, and in the corner more shovels. But these weren't just tools lying around. Every shovel was planted in the dirt like a gravestone. We moved slowly. None of us were even talking anymore, just staring at the screen. The game wasn't holding our hands. No HUD, no tutorials, nothing. Just this endless tunnel of stone and the sound of our footsteps echoing way too loud. And then it happened, the whisper, "Don't let me die down here." We froze. I swear I stopped breathing. Because the voice didn't echo like it was part of the game. It felt like it was behind us, right in the room. We pressed forward, lanterns swinging as the tunnel curved, and that's when we saw him, or at least something that looked like him. A silhouette slumped against the wall, half buried in dirt, his arms twitching like he was trying to claw his way free. His face completely covered in mud. I felt my throat tighten. This was supposed to be the guy we were saving. But the game wasn't letting us interact with him. No prompt, no press X to help. Just silence and the sound of dirt sliding as his body sank deeper. One of my friends shouted, dig him out," so we frantically started pressing every button, every key. Nothing, the game wasn't responding, and then the lantern flickered out. For a split second, the screen went completely dark. And in that moment we heard it, a sound I will never forget, the sound of nails dragging against stone. Slow scraping, coming closer. When the lantern finally flared back on, the wall where he had been was empty. Just loose dirt, as if he'd been swallowed whole. We spun the camera around, panicking. Nothing, just the tunnel. Silent, empty, and then bang, something slammed against the screen hard enough that I actually jumped out of my chair. A face, mud, caked hollow-eyed, pressed against the glass, staring right at us, and then it was gone. The tunnel stretched forward into pitch blackness, but I already knew we weren't alone in here anymore. And that's when the text appeared on the screen, jagged, red, carved into the stone itself. You can't save what's already been buried. We just sat there staring at the screen. That message burned into the wall. You can't save what's already been buried. It felt like the game wasn't just warning us, it was mocking us. The tunnel stretched on, darker than before. Every step echoed like footsteps weren't just ours, like something else was pacing with us. And then that sound returned, nails dragging slowly against stone, long, sharp, closer this time. I whispered out loud without even meaning to, "It's behind us." We spun the camera, nothing, just stone walls and shadows stretching way too far. But the sound didn't stop. It circled us, crawling along the walls, above us, beneath us. My chest was tight. My friends weren't even laughing anymore. No nervous jokes, just silence. And then the lantern flickered, and in that flicker, for less than a second, we saw it. A tall, twisted figure standing at the very end of the tunnel. Too far to make out a face, but close enough that the lantern light bounced off its teeth. We froze. If we moved, it would hear us. If we stayed, it would come closer. My hand was hovering over the joystick like even the tiniest twitch would set it off. The game made the decision for us. The lantern went out again, pitch black, only the sound of breathing. Not ours, heavy, ragged, animal, like breathing. It was in the tunnel with us. We tried moving forward blindly, just pushing the stick and hoping we were going the right way. Every few seconds the lantern flared, showing a glimpse of the walls and the figure, always closer. It wasn't walking. It was jerking forward, twitching like it was being dragged by something we couldn't see. I could feel my heart pounding in my throat. One of my friends whispered, "Don't stop, just keep moving." So we did. Running down the tunnel, lanterns shaking wildly, the sound of dragging nails now chasing us, faster, sharper, like claws scraping right against the screen. And then silence. The tunnel opened into a huge underground chamber. Dozens of graves dug right into the stone floor. Each one filled, each one covered with dirt that still shifted, like something inside was trying to claw its way out. We moved slowly between them, trying not to look down, but the camera kept dragging our view toward one grave in the middle. Different from the rest, bigger, deeper, freshly dug. We stopped at the edge, staring into it, and then the screen glitched. For a split second, it wasn't just dirt down there. It was him, eyes wide open, mouth moving, screaming up at us without sound. The grave shook violently, like something was clawing its way out. The screen flashed red, and then the game threw us a prompt. Bury him? My stomach turned. That wasn't saving him. That wasn't helping him. The game was giving us no choice. And as the prompt pulsed on screen, louder than the heartbeat, louder than the whispers, I realized something. The longer we waited, the closer that thing in the tunnel was getting. The screen pulsed with that command, bury him. At first, we laughed nervously like, yeah, right, no way we're doing that. But the longer we waited, the louder it got. The heartbeat in the background picked up, pounding in rhythm with the word. Bury him, bury him, bury him. I didn't want to press the button. None of us did. But then the tunnel behind us groaned. That scratching sound came back, nails carving into the stone, and this time it wasn't slow, it was sprinting. We panicked. Someone shouted, "Just do it, just press it." and before I could stop myself, I hit the button. The screen shook violently. The grave swallowed him whole, dirt collapsing as if invisible hands were shoveling him under. His muffled scream cut through the speakers, raw and desperate, before going completely silent, and then nothing. Just black dirt where he had been. My chest was tight. My throat felt dry. I whispered, "We didn't save him, we buried him alive." But the game wasn't done. The chamber lit up with dozens of red eyes, opening in the dirt around us, every grave, one by one. Eyes staring out from beneath the soil, watching, waiting. We tried to run, sprinting toward the far end of the chamber, but the ground rippled beneath our feet. Hands, pale, filthy hands clawing out of the graves, reaching for our legs, trying to pull us down. The lantern flickered madly, flashing between images, dirt-filled mouths gasping for air, faces pressed against the soil, fingernails snapping as they scratched at the surface. And over it all, that same voice whispered, "You were supposed to save me." We stumbled through, barely keeping control of the character. Every direction felt wrong. The walls twisted, the chamber stretching longer the more we ran. It felt like we were trapped in the center of something alive. Then the game did something cruel. The camera shifted, forcing us to look back, and there it was, that figure. The thing from the tunnels, standing over the fresh grave. It was holding the same shovel we had seen before, dragging it across the stone with a screech that made my teeth hurt. Slowly, it turned its head toward us. We bolted. My heart was pounding so hard it drowned out the game audio. The path ahead split into 3 tunnels, no map, no markers, just black corridors yawning open like mouths. We picked one at random, sprinting into the dark. The sound of the shovel scraping echoed behind us, growing faster, closer, like it was being dragged right down the tunnel after us. The lantern finally gave out again, total darkness, and in that moment of silence, the whisper came back. But this time it wasn't behind us. It was right in my ear. "You buried me." The screen glitched. The game crashed. And all we could see was our reflection in the black screen, pale and wide, died. We sat there in silence, staring at the black screen. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. It wasn't just a crash. It felt like the game had ended itself. But then the title screen flickered back on. The fog was there again, thick, shifting, the heartbeat, but something was different. The name in the mist wasn't his anymore. It was mine. I felt every hair on my body stand up. My friends didn't even laugh this time. They just stared at me wide-eyed. And before I could even process it, the game selected start. We didn't press anything. Cut. Back to the dirt road. Back to the sound of shovels. But the graves were different now. Every single one had a name carved into the plate. My friends' names, my name, all lined up in perfect rows. We moved through slowly, terrified of what we'd see. And sure enough, halfway down the line, one of the graves began to shake, dirt crumbling as a hand shot up through the soil. It was wearing the same bracelet my friend had on in real life. I whispered, "That's not possible. That's not possible." The figure pulled itself halfway out, face caked with mud, but the features it looked exactly like him. My friend sitting next to me, same clothes, same terrified expression, and then it spoke. "Why didn't you save me?" He jumped in his chair, swearing, "That's not me. That's not me." But the game didn't care. The camera forced us to watch as the dirt swallowed him back under, screaming, clawing, until there was nothing left. We bolted down the road, panicking. Every grave we passed now shook violently, arms bursting out, mouths wide, screaming our names. It wasn't background noise anymore, it was personal. "Come back. Don't leave me. Help me." The game was taunting us. Every corner we turned, it bent the world to trap us deeper. The dirt road stretched longer, splitting and twisting, but always leading us back to the same chamber underground. The same lantern, the same graves, and there, waiting at the center, was the figure with the shovel. Only this time it wasn't just a faceless shadow. It was wearing my clothes, same jacket, same torn jeans, same scratches on my hand that I had gotten earlier that day. It tilted its head slowly, shovel scraping the floor, and whispered in a warped, broken version of my own voice, "You buried me." The screen flickered red. A new prompt appeared, "Bury yourself." We all shouted at once, "Don't press it. Don't you dare press it." But the button was already glowing, pulsing with the same rhythm as the heartbeat. The longer we waited, the louder the heartbeat became. And then the game did something I'll never forget. The screen split, half showing the game, half showing static. And inside the static, for just a second, I swear I saw us. Sitting in the room, watching, we froze. Nobody spoke, nobody touched the controller, but the prompt was still there, waiting, and I swear to you, I could feel it. Like if we didn't press that button, the game wasn't going to stay in the screen anymore. The screen pulsed with that command, "Bury yourself." We sat frozen. None of us wanted to touch the controller. The heartbeat grew louder, faster, shaking the speakers like it was inside our own chests. The words glowed brighter, stretching across the screen like they were burning into the stone walls of the chamber. And then the game forced us. The camera turned downward on its own, toward the empty grave in the middle of the room. Our characters' hands appeared, clutching the shovel. I didn't move the joystick. Nobody did, but the characters started digging. Each strike of the shovel echoed like a gunshot. Dirt flew, the hole got deeper, and then the camera glitched, flashing between the characters' hands and mine. My own hands on the controller, dirt under my fingernails that wasn't really there. We screamed, slamming buttons, trying to stop it. Nothing worked. The grave was finished. The game zoomed in on the pit, black, endless, and then the screen filled with my own face. Staring back, hollow-eyed, covered in dirt, whispering in my own voice, "It's your turn," the screen went black. Silence, and then the title screen flickered back to life. Same fog, same heartbeat, but this time there was no name in the mist. Just two words glowing in red, "You're next." We shut the console off immediately, pulled the plug out of the wall. But I swear for the rest of the night, I could still hear it, that heartbeat, faint, in the walls. And safe to say, we're never opening that game at night again.